Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about Dwight and his role in the coming story in The Walking Dead Season 7. Alright guys, first thing first, there's going to be some comic book spoilers. Now, the good part about these comic book spoilers is some of them, it doesn't matter, because I do not believe they're going to do any of these spoilers I'm about to talk about, the story plot spoilers. I don't believe they're going to do them in the show because they already remixed them in Season 6. And we need to conquer the spoilers first in this discussion to move on to what I believe they could possibly do with Dwight's story. And it's a very, very important story element in the coming conflict with Negan. Alright, so the two big differences I want to talk about in the comic book versus the TV show. The first one is going to be attacking Alexandria. See, in the comic book, there was a little hint of, poor organization skills compared to the TV show. In the TV show, I think they killed it. It was organized like a son of a bitch. That was great. Now, in the comic book, where the questionable, action they took was when Negan was making his first appearance and he had the survivors lined up. While that was happening out on the road away from Alexandria, Dwight was leading a small group of saviors for an unknown purpose or reason to attack Alexandria. And again, I don't believe they're going to do that because Dwight on a TV show is actually with the survivors and Negan. He wasn't with them in the comic books, and he would have no reason after this point in time. Once Negan kills one of the survivors, takes Rick and gang back to Alexandria to take half of their supplies, see what they got going on, put his foot down. Once that happens, they can wander the streets and roads and go on runs. They don't have to worry about being attacked by the saviors. They don't have to worry about the saviors attacking Alexandria. Now they got a plot and scheme behind their back to get out from underneath Negan's rule, but they don't have to worry about a coming attack. Which means Dwight shouldn't attack them in the TV show. That's done. They're not going to do that. The next big difference that they changed is the introduction to the kingdom. Now in the TV show, almost definitely, Carol and Morgan are going to be making the kingdom introduction. And I think this is important for one main reason. I believe that when Jesus introduces Rick to Ezekiel, the leader, it's a new character, of this new community called the kingdom, once Jesus introduces Rick and Ezekiel, we now have Carol and Morgan who can tell Rick, because in the comic book, Rick blindly follows or blindly accepts Ezekiel's help. You know what I mean? His allegiance. Now, Jesus does say, listen, he's a good guy, so it made sense for the comic. But in the show, Rick could be a little weary because of what's going on. What if he's a spy for Negan and Negan uses him to get information and Negan shows back up and kills one of them now? That's on Rick's hands. So Carol and Morgan can say, no, Rick, listen, you trust us, right? These people are here to help. They are good people. So I think that is set up perfectly, and that's most likely the route they're going to take because it's too perfect to not include something similar to that. It just fits perfectly, because Rick now will trust Ezekiel because he helped a wounded Carol. She was shot twice, so there's no reason not to trust him at this point. So now that those two big differences are out of the way, I do believe they're going to still do the introduction with Ezekiel and the kingdom, but I believe it will be different and it will be fleshed out and there's going to be more to it. It might even be like the Hilltop where it took up one episode in itself, And we might not even be there a while. We might revisit it because Carol might even stay there to heal up. You know what? Rick could actually go and see Ezekiel now to check in on Carol. Jesus could come to him and say, hey, one of my friends at another community took in 2 of your survivors. They needed help. The woman was shot, and Rick is like, I want to come see her. Is she okay? Da-da-da. They could, and that could be the introduction to the Hilltop. I think that is also a very good possibility. So where does that leave Dwight? Since he's not going to attack the Hilltop, he's not going to... and also in the comic, for this to make sense, when Rick goes to meet Ezekiel for the first time, we have Dwight there, and Dwight is like, listen, I don't remember if it's the first time, but Rick goes back to meet Ezekiel, and Dwight is there, and he comes out. It was on a stage, and Dwight's like, "Listen, I want to take Negan down," and Rick is pissed. Rick is like, "You attacked our community. You shot Abraham in the face." Da 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 da. In the TV show, it's Denise, so that anger's still gonna be there. So how can they remix that? I said this a long time ago, and I still believe it's possible now. They are building some kind of dynamic between Daryl and Dwight. So if in the TV show, once Negan kills one of the survivors, if he decides to take Daryl back as collateral or whatever, he could just be like, "Yeah, you fit in. We're taking Daryl. Don't worry. We'll patch him up. He'll be fine. He's in good hands." He could make a joke like that. Take Daryl. Daryl can now be under Dwight's command, get patched up. Daryl's going to be pissed about it, but he has no choice because they could just kill him right then and there. They could kill, someone back at Alexandria if Daryl steps out of line. So Daryl must do whatever the fuck they say. And why is that golden? Why is that absolutely just fits beautifully? Because the gimmick, the trick here is to get Daryl, who hates Dwight's guts, get Daryl to feel sympathy, to feel, what it's like being in Dwight's situation. If Dwight does anything wrong, Sherry's dead. The woman he loves is dead. If Daryl does anything wrong, the people he loves, they are dead. Rick's killed, friggin' Carol's dead, Morgan's dead, Carl's dead, Michonne is dead, Glenn is dead. It could be anybody. In Daryl's eyes, anyone he cares for is a goner. And I think that fits beautifully because now Daryl is forced to be there. Dwight is forced to be there. Daryl can see them bring in some guy, they burn his face. Daryl gets to witness it firsthand, and he knows that's what happened to Dwight. Dwight got captured. It was hard on Dwight. It was horrific. They held him down. They burned his face. They took his wife, the woman he loved, the woman he tried to escape with. They took her. She's now one of Negan's wives. I mean, Daryl sees that. Daryl might not forgive the killing of Denise, but he will damn sure understand it at that point. It will then make it easier for him to get in a bickering match with Dwight, and Dwight to snap at him and say, "Listen, you little son of a bitch, you don't have the slightest idea what's going on. The second I have the opportunity, I'm going to cut Negan from ear to ear, I don't care what happens after that, but I will kill him. I can't do it now because his people will kill me before I can get Sherry somewhere safe." And Daryl could be like, holy shit, you know what I mean? That can open up a whole new level of knowledge for Daryl in what to do next. He can then go to Rick and be like, "Listen, Rick, I know he shot Denise. I know he's a piece of shit. I hate him too, but you need to know what's going on there. There is a weak spot we can utilize." Because if Dwight just walks up to Rick now, Rick is liable to just bite his throat out. You know what I'm saying? And be like, "I'm not going to trust you. You're a piece of shit. Get out of here." That's so dark. There's so much tension there and suspense between Dwight and Daryl. There's chemistry. They already built on it. They have Dwight in episode 6, then they have Dwight coming back and meeting Daryl. They already built up that, I don't want to say friendship, but they already built up that interaction, that connection between Daryl and Dwight. It would be silly to just throw it away now. From a writing standpoint, it would just be silly. So I think that makes Daryl safe from being killed by Negan. In my opinion, listen, he could die and they could be going a totally different direction here, but I think that means Daryl is safe because they need Daryl, or they're going to use Daryl to incorporate Dwight's story so Dwight can turn or help turn on Negan to help, Rick start to get the upper hand in a war. Give him some information, find out where his outpost is, yada yada yada. So now finally, in the end, what I'm trying to get at here is Daryl can see what's going on. Daryl can link up. He's not going to like it. He's not going to become best friends with Dwight, but he's going to know and understand, what position Dwight was in. And it wasn't a personal thing. He could be messed up. He could be, screwed up in the head after everything that's going on. He might not even be a good person anymore. But he's vital in order to get out from underneath Negan's rule because Dwight knows things. He knows things about the outposts. He knows things about maybe, which would even be an added bit of fleshing it out and an added bit of realism. Dwight might also know other saviors who do not like Negan. And those other saviors can now ally with the survivors. You know what I mean? Because not all the saviors are there willingly. They take people. They're going to take Daryl maybe. They took, in the comic, they took a doctor. They split up brothers. There's going to be other allies in the group. When you utilize those weak spots, that is power, or it's an advantage. So I think that's very likely they can go in that direction, and I am, if you can't tell, I am very excited for them to go in a similar direction. I'm not saying everything I said here is going to happen. I mean, for all I know, they could just have Daryl die for no freaking reason, and then this is all out the window. Or Negan could kill Daryl. I mean, shit. But I do feel like there's definitely something here. There's something with Daryl and Dwight. I don't know. I feel it in my gut. I definitely feel it in my gut. So thank you very much for listening to me for what, like 10 minutes now. Please put your thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. Do you think any of these things are going to happen? Do you even like any of these ideas? Or do you have some ideas of your own? What do you think is coming up for Dwight, for the Kingdom, for Negan, for the survivors? Put all your thoughts and opinions down in that comment box. I would love to hear what you guys think. I'm done talking, so that means it's your turn. Subscribe now.